The South Carolina Aquarium is in the historic district of Charleston. Before you enter the aquarium building, there is an outdoor section with a roof with a large touch tank with rays in it called the Shallows. After that, as you walk in, the gift shop will be on your right with restrooms across from that. A few steps beyond the shop and the restrooms is a private nursing room, and beyond that is a sea turtle snack bar with yogurt, fruit, sandwiches, etc. I believe they also have hot dogs and pizza. Past that is something called the Great Hall. You turn right and you are in something called Ocean. This has a 42-foot deep Great Ocean tank. It contains a loggerhead sea turtle, sharks, and over 500 fish. There are quite often divers in there working with the animals and doing repair and maintenance. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, there is also a large moray eel. It's always pretty active. It was active on this visit and also last visit. There's also some signage and a chunk of sample plastic that talks about how they constructed the tank and how thick the walls are and how they constructed it in a way that you are able to see through the walls without distortion. It's actually quite interesting, and the sample block of plastic is something that children can touch. At the end of the Great Hall is something called Sea Turtle Recovery. It was sponsored by a family, probably local, called the Zucker family, if I recall correctly. It is huge, and it has a lot of exhibits that are very kid-friendly. Children can touch and interact with them. There's models of turtles and exhibits showing the medical interventions and diagnostic procedures that they use to help turtles that have ingested things like hooks and stray bits of plastic and all kinds of stuff. There are also tanks with turtles currently being helped and computerized explanations of their past and current health journeys. So there's a surgical room that children can look through the window and look at, and something that I believe is an MRI machine. And there is a mock-up of an X-ray so that they can look at X-rays of turtles, which is kind of fascinating. I'm a nurse, so it's fascinating to me, but I can definitely see children being excited about this and also feeling like they are part of saving and helping wildlife. After that, you go up the stairs or elevator to Mountain Forest to see a bald eagle that is unable to live on her own in the wild. Her wing, if I recall correctly, had to be amputated partially, so while she can move around in her enclosure, she can't live on her own. There's also some otters, and then it's on to Piedmont to see a huge enclosure full of frogs and other animals that live in streams, rivers, and reservoirs. If at the back of this enclosure you pay attention, at the very end of this segment, you will see at the top right-hand corner, there is a whole line of frogs. So if you're wondering what those little blobs of brown are. We haven't quite gotten to it yet. But there's a whole line of frogs that are all lined up, just like bugs. In between, there they are. Those are all frogs. Yep. I did not even see it until one of my kids pointed them out to me. But anyway, it's quite a neat little enclosure to see them moving around and just, well, being frogs. After that, it's the coastal plain area with reptiles and amphibians. I will warn you, there are some snakes in here. So if you don't like snakes, you might want to have somebody with you to tell you to like avert your eyes and don't look at them if they scare you. But there's also some other amphibians that are very interesting. It's kind of like a wetlands exploration area. There is a place that has alligators, and it's almost one of those like don't blink or you'll miss it, because it's after the swamp area and it's quite dark. So what you're looking at right now is the swamp area. Not gonna lie, it's not exceptionally exciting. But right after that, you're gonna walk into a dark area, and there's a sign in that dark area that basically says like, there's alligators here, watch out. The alligators are not huge, obviously, but it's quite dark. So as you walk into there, give yourself some time for your eyes to adjust, because if you race right through there, you will not be able to see anything. So if you slow down and look around and let your eyes adjust, you will be able to see the alligators. They're pretty tiny, and it's a dark area, so you will definitely want to take your time and let your eyes adjust. But it's kind of cool. In the beginning, it's kind of like, it's just kind of dark. But once your eyes adjust, you get to see a lot. It's actually quite interesting. Okay, the next section is still in coastal plain, but it's called things like Old Race Field, something like that. I can't remember what the other one was. But it's actually a mock-up of an old irrigation gate back when, I guess they still grow rice in this area. But back when the irrigation fields were done with wood, you could see where broken down gates would be a great habitat for wildlife of all kinds. So there's some more alligators here. They're small, but at least this area is not quite so dark and you can see them quite clearly. It's interesting, so if you know anything about South Carolina history, some of it's great, some of it's a little bit sad, but this race field broken irrigation gate is fascinating. So don't rush right past this. It's really quite something. All right, and then you're on to the touch tank, and this contains stingrays and some small sharks. You can actually pet these. It's a 2-finger touch system, so you can reach in and touch them with just 2 fingers very lightly. It was kind of interesting because they are sharks, so they have that like sandpapery skin, but it's kind of soft. It's not real rough. There's also a bunch of sea urchins, so if you've never had a chance to touch them, they kind of they feel like toothpicks. That's actually what they feel like. And then they also have shrimp in a wall-mounted tank that either have anger management issues or are running their own fight club. Alright, once you're done with the touch tank, you're moving on to an outdoor area called Salt Marsh Aviary, which features some of the world's least fearful ducks. These guys are brave. They're really not afraid of anything. And if you get tired of the ducks, just wait a while, because they also have roseate spoonbills, white ibises, and gulls. So the ducks tend to be at water level, And then if you turn around and look up, then you will see the roseate spoonbills, white ibises, and there's a gull in there. We heard it for a while, and we thought that the sounds were being piped in. And then, it's, the garbage bin chicken poked his or her bill out, and sure enough, it was an actual real gull. Mostly, it's just ducks who are not there. They are. There's the spoonbills and the ibis, and I don't think I captured the gull, but it's behind that spoonbill. Brave little guy. Oh, there he is. There's his head. All right. But anyway, it's kind of a neat little area. You can look under the water and see the ducks' feet paddling, and there's also a bunch of fish in there as well. It's neat. It's actually one of the most kid-friendly areas in the entire aquarium. The aquarium has dynamic pricing, so the busier it is, the more expensive it's going to be. If you go on a slow day, it's going to be less, so the range is anywhere from $32 to $37. If you buy in advance, it's cheaper. There are discounts for military, 15%, free admission for teachers. If you qualify for state assistance and other things, there is a $40 Angelfish annual family membership. That's a very good deal. Also, if you live in South Carolina, you can check out temporarily an annual pass from the library, just like you'd check out a book. So if you're a resident, that's worth looking into.